Hello, 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 Chicago Bears fans. Welcome to the Bears Den podcast number 44. I am Andy, and we have a great show lined up for you guys tonight. We're going to talk about all things Chicago Bears, and we're going to continue with our roster breakdown as we discuss the cornerback room and the wide receiver room. If you are watching us, please, please, please show us some love. Like us, follow us, subscribe to us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. And please tell all your family and friends and fellow Chicago Bear fans all about us. We love feedback, so please do not be afraid to comment during the show. Let me bring out the stars of the show, the guys you paid to see, the rock star Todd, and the mega star, the bad guy, Chicago Clarence. How are you guys doing tonight? Good?
Doing
Not
good,
good?
doing good.
Yeah.
What's going on, man? How you guys doing?
I'm doing well. I mean, last week we did the show. We were in snow. The end of the world was coming to. It was snowing in Charlotte. Or they were expecting snow, and now we're in shorts and t-shirt.
Yep.
So welcome to Charlotte, and welcome to the show. Again, please send us comment, feedback, like us, subscribe to us. Anyway, guys, so let's talk about the news. Last time we were on the show, Gerald Everett and DeMarcus Walker were both Chicago Bears. This week, as we discussed in the tight end room, we expected Gerald Everett to get cut. He did. That's no news. DeMarcus Walker. Todd, how you feeling about DeMarcus Walker getting cut?
So a little surprised. The savings
Yes.
wasn't tremendous, and he could have been an okay rotational piece. But there might have been some bad blood in the office there, or something, or a clean break, or they have plans, or I don't know. Maybe they're freeing up money for I don't know, Chase Young, somebody, who knows. But I was a little surprised by it.
Chicago Clarence, how you feeling about DeMarcus Walker being released?
Yeah, when it came across, I think we saved what, 5 million, something like 5.5 million, cutting him.
Yes.
It leads you to think that maybe a big move is coming. I hope that's what that is, because we
Right.
definitely need help on that D line. I hope that they got a plan in place, and this is just trimming the fat, as we would say. But really and truly, on that defensive line, it's really only one position that I would consider locked up, and that's Sweat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not overly in love with anybody on that D line. I mean, I'm just not.
Yeah, Dexter's, pointing upward. I don't see a scenario where he's not the starter. He came off a decent year, but yeah, we need depth, and we need starters.
Yes.
We're starting to pick up a little bit, but the Walker thing, put a dent in that. So
That's why I was surprised he got cut. I'm not saying he's a world beater, an all-star, an all-pro, but he was a decent rotational piece, a decent guy off the bench. And plus, you could sneak him inside at DT on pass rushing down. So I was a little shocked that he got cut, because we did create another need. But we did clear up more cap space, and right now we stand at $74.6 million in cap space. The Patriots are leading the way with, good Lord, they can spend. They can spend freely at 125.5.
Let me ask you though, with this amount, does that include the increase that the NFL is expected to go to as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
This is up to date. So, guys, in case you didn't hear, the combine is going strong. I'm not a combine person. I'm at work, but if you're at home and you're watching it, there's the schedule. I'm not going to go over it because, again, I can't watch it. I'm at work. But in case you didn't hear, Ryan Poles just glowed and glowed and glowed about Ben Johnson, about how brilliant he is, how smart he is, how high his IQ is, which is what you expect him to say anyway. Guys, you surprised by this at all? He glowed and glowed and glowed about Ben Johnson. Yes, no, maybe so.
I am not surprised.
No, I wouldn't expect him to start bashing his coach now. Another thing that comes out during the combine is the Players Association report card on these franchises. Was not shocked by some of these grades, but head coaching, we finished dead last. Our players said we had the worst head coach in the league.
Yeah.
Ownership, I'm surprised we came in with an A minus. 13th. I mean, we talked pretty badly about the McCaskies. I was a little surprised by that. Team travel, strength, coach. I mean, treatment of families, a C plus. Food
What's
and
that
dining
about?
area, C plus.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an A minus, and then 13th doesn't seem to be. It seems
Yes.
like they're pretty soft on all ownership there, because if we're middle of the pack or close to middle of the pack at 13th, and that's still an A minus, I think they might be grading that on a scale. You think?
I mean, supposedly they vote in privacy, and these are the grades.
Yeah.
But Adam Ho came out today and said that some of the players felt like Flus lacked a willingness to listen to the players and the players' leadership council, and he mismanaged the weekly team schedule. Chicago Clarence, are you surprised by any of that?
No, I'm not, because I mean, we're talking about mismanaging the weekly team schedule. Hell, he mismanaged the games too.
Yes, he did.
Obviously, this is just another black eye on the team's organization as to and keeping this guy. It's just disheartening when you sit back and you start peeling back layers on your team and your organization as a whole, and stuff like this comes out. You know, we're just so accustomed to being inept in every facet. Now, the report card, some of it is kind of surprising. You know, the Hollis Hall is what, 5 years, 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes.
Well,
and to see that, you know, the weight room, well, we got an A for that, but the training room was a B plus. You would think that should be at worst an A minus. The food dining area,
apparently the food's no good.
Hollis Hall. Okay, but they said dining area. Okay, so all that's in one. Okay. Well, if the food is no good, it must be really bringing that grade down to get a C plus. Like, good God. So, wow.
Yeah,
but ownership being an A plus. Are you kidding me?
Surprising.
A minus.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's just because a lot of the players like Virginia. I can't think of not one person that spoke bad of her.
Right.
But you know, you got to start thinking about how the team is ran. And boy, we can pull out some things. We can definitely point at some issues about ownership and how things are ran up in that building. It ain't good.
Wait. You're not excusing the last 100 years because they've done a good job in the last 10 weeks?
I don't feel like getting on my soapbox about everything.
I'm in a good mood. Let's not ruin that.
Yeah, particularly on how we run our business. You know, the ticket prices and all that, and you know that $11.5 million that we spent on that property that's just sitting there collecting dust. You know, still making payments on a building that we helped remodel that we didn't own. I mean, I don't know how ownership gets an A minus for stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
It's interesting you bring up Arlington Heights, because there are rumors swirling today that the Bears are going to announce that we are going to break ground in Arlington Heights now, which is a complete flip from other reports that we're going to break ground in the city. So I don't know where we're going to end up yet.
Did you really believe that they weren't going to do the Arlington Heights things after buying that? I mean,
well, let me tell you,
I never believed that city thing for a second.
When I listened to Captain J Hood in the morning, they said, yes, they bought Arlington Heights. Even if they don't go through with it, they're still not going to lose money because that's valuable land. They can sell it off in pieces or chunks. They're still going to get a return on their investment. But
they control everything in Arlington Heights.
Yeah.
That's what they have to do.
But you're paying taxes on it at the time. And
no, you are.
There.
You are.
Yeah, you're paying taxes and you're not earning no money on it. There ain't building anything on it. You're working out a tax issue that should have been fixed before you even purchased the land. I mean, who went up there and negotiated?
George, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But they get A minus though. You get A minus for ownership. When you do
if they'd have
like
got the taxes sorted out, it'd have been an A plus.
How long have we owned that property? Going on 2 years?
Yeah, it's probably 2 years, I'm sure.
I mean, how do you do that? How do you go and spend that kind of money on property and it's just sitting there for 2 years unused? You got the plans for it,
I still say
and you just rolled the plans. Justin Fields last year, you rolled the plans out.
this right
But
here.
how do you do all
I
that?
I still think the divorce that is impending is going to be the divorce from the city is the problem. Because there's something in that contract. If we leave the city, we got to pay X amount. Same as leaving your apartment or leaving you canceled the lease early, you're going to get penalized. Ray Johnston.
But it's going to take 3 years to build the stadium anyway. That's just the stadium. That's not even developing the whole land. That's going to take time.
Whatever they lose, they're going to pass on to us anyway. So
Ray Johnston thinks it was going to be Arlington Heights the whole time.
Yeah, no, it's Arlington Heights the whole way. Everything else was just smoke.
Yeah. I think they were playing it from both sides of the field. Going to Arlington Heights, saying, "Hey, man, the city's going to give us a tax break." Blah blah blah. Then when they go back to the city, "Hey, we got this Arlington Heights deal." I think they are just negotiating for the best deal. That's all they're doing. It's just smoke and mirrors, so they get the best. But I do think the divorce from the city is going to be messy, a lot more messy than you think. So we have another comment. Let's see what this one is. Ray Johnston said, "I would think it would be the dumbest thing to stay at Soldier Field campus because they don't get the concessions." Yeah, we agree.
Yeah,
that's why we need to divorce. Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna have hotels and everything, restaurants, everything.
Yeah,
and they own all of that. I mean, it's gonna be a cash cow.
Yes, and they can bring in marquee events like a Super Bowl, like an NCAA Final Four, like the big UFC fights or boxing. Or you can't do that now in Chicago because you don't have the stadium.
I mean, they just got to look at what the Cubs did and that tiny little space that they had, what they were able to monetize. Now you get a big area where you can do anything you want. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I was really thinking more of what the Atlanta Braves did with the Battery in Atlanta.
Yeah, but this is just Chicago to Chicago. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, look at David Tepper as a fine example. Well, maybe not fine, but he came here. He bought the Panthers. He started putting concerts there in the summer. Yeah. He brought whatever the soccer team's name is to life. I mean, that's all revenue for him and his stadium. Put back into the Panthers or put back in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, every Charlotte Football Club, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't follow soccer.
I think so.
It seems like all they do is lay down and claim they broke a knee or an ankle or a chin
there's a little
till they get the penalty.
There's a little flop.
I can't get on board with soccer ever. So, guys, moving on.
It's a beautiful game.
I can't. That's one sport I can never get on board with. I'll watch basketball before I watch soccer, and that's saying a lot. So I've never gotten on board with basketball either. But
I love basketball.
Moving on. So tonight we head into the cornerback room. So guys, let's do while you guys are reading that. Peanut Tillman. I think we're all familiar with him. Just for fun, he did not make the Hall of Fame. So that being said, he's not going to be a first ballot, obviously. But should this man be in the Hall of Fame one day? Just one day. Obviously, he's not going to be first ballot. He'll have to wait the next year. Todd, should Peanut Tillman be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I'm probably biased, but I'll say yeah.
Yeah, I'm biased too.
He occasionally would get burned, but that whole punch thing, everybody replicates that now. I mean, and seems to be a general all-around good guy. I would lean towards that it's the Football Hall of Fame is not the Baseball Hall of Fame. They're pretty forgiving and like to bring in a bunch of people. So I think in my opinion, for sure.
Chicago Clarence, does this man ever get into the Hall of Fame?
He may get in, but in my opinion, is he a Hall of Famer? Hell no. It's not a Hall of Famer. He's not one of the best ever to play at that position. Maybe if you want to give him a Ring of Honor and put him in the Chicago Ring of Honor, I wouldn't fault you for it, but he's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, well, he definitely should be in that. But the Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame is kind of the Hall of very good player. I mean,
it's very watered down. I mean,
it is.
Let's just keep it real. Very watered down. I mean, he's not a Hall of Famer in my opinion. No.
Like, I mean, when you compare it to, I mean, I guess baseball would be the thing you would compare it to, Hall of Fame. And, MLB seems happy to go a year without putting anybody in. They're super, super restrictive. So when you compare the two, I mean, it's a lot of people that I've talked to, that's the NFL is the Hall of very good player.
And that's how it should be, though.
Yeah.
It should be hard to get in. It shouldn't just be, an open social club just because you got your name called a lot on TV. All of a sudden, when you retire, you're going to be considered to be one of the best ever. He is not one of the best ever at that position. I'm sorry. He probably should have coined the term peanut punch.
Yes.
And that would have been the only thing synonymous for that. Other than that, he is not one of the best cornerbacks to ever do. He is not in the class of Champ Bailey and Deion Sanders. Yeah,
well,
no.
Deion was elite and wouldn't tackle anybody and was elite. If you factored in, takeaways as a category, and that was then for sure, if it was,
that's my point.
A lot of them guys can't do that. And
does he get in? That was my question. Does he get in? I think he will get in. I actually do think he. I mean, he's like Clarence said, he's not one of the best ever, but damn, he forced some turnovers.
Yeah,
I mean,
he didn't
solid.
do that until the latter part of his.
But he was a solid
back half of
solid player. He was a very good player, solid player.
Early on in his career,
but that's not Hall of Fame though. I mean, there's a lot of solid players out there.
Yeah.
Lance Briggs. I mean, I could swallow Lance Briggs a lot more than Peanut Tillman.
Todd, you think Lance Briggs is? Go ahead. Todd, do you think Lance Briggs deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? Since Clarence brought it up,
I think Briggs was a really good linebacker,
yes.
Smart player.
Yes.
He was on the spot all the time. Did it, and I hate to do this. Like,
I know what you're going to say.
Compare it to other things, like I mean, and I don't want to talk about the draft all the time, but it's what I talk about all the time. Mason Graham, they're saying this guy is amazing, but he lines up next to Kenneth Grant, who's probably a top 20 pick. It's like, but it's not Lance Briggs' fault who he lined up next to.
Urlacher his whole career.
And so, but I would say, if it's Peanut Tillman or Lance Briggs, I guess Tillman, just because that one special thing he did, maybe he's 10% more qualified to get in than Briggs. Briggs was a rock solid player.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was.
Both definitely Ring of Fame Bear thing or whatever they call that or whatever we do.
Yes.
But I don't know that I'd put him even going in the Hall of Fame. I would give Peanut a little edge.
But didn't Lance Briggs lead the team in tackles, even lining up next to Urlacher?
Yeah, I'm sure
the guy
that's
was
right.
He was a tackling machine.
He was.
You just got to look at stats, and then you start talking about, okay, well, how many Pro Bowls?
I'm not saying anything bad against Briggs. Briggs was a great player.
But that is the knock on Briggs, that he lined up next to Urlacher his whole career.
And that's the that happens all the time with people. It's like Scottie Pippen syndrome. I don't know, something like
Scottie
that.
Pippen, Michael Jordan syndrome.
Right.
Jordan wouldn't have succeeded without Pippen, and vice versa.
Everybody needs everybody, and
I mean,
one guy gets more limelight than maybe he should, but.
I mean, I get all of that, but even Pippen was named, 75 greatest players of all time.
That's exactly right.
It ain't very often Robin gets that style. You know what I'm saying? So if the NFL did something like that and Lance Briggs was included with that, then you could then say the Scottie Pippen syndrome. And we can go on and on about it.
I'll say this: I think that Briggs is underrated, and I think Urlacher's a little overrated. You know what I mean? Because they're both relying on each other,
yeah,
and that's got to be really controversial here. And
Urlacher, I think
he's great. He's a great player, and he was an easy Hall of Famer.
Urlacher was the second best middle. He was the second best middle linebacker of his time during his career, only behind Ray Lewis.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah,
I just being all Bears all the time, we put him on a really, really high pedestal.
So let me ask you something. Why not? We're talking about middle linebacker. We have Buckus.
Get some hate for that.
We have Buckus, Urlacher, and Singletary. How would you rate those three, just for fun? Where would you rate them? Who's the best out of those three?
It was that order. It's Butkus, Urlacher, Singletary.
I agree with that. Chicago Clarence, would you put them in that order? I mean, Butkus made middle linebackers.
Butkus made middle linebackers what it is.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick, I'm taking Urlacher first because Urlacher could cover. Butkus was not a person who can cover a tight end.
Yeah,
Urlacher
but that's not something that. But that's not something even Singletary didn't do.
But that's what I'm saying.
The
you
times
wouldn't
were
dare
different.
throw the ball
But they
down the middle with Urlacher there.
I don't know that they couldn't do it. They were never asked to do that.
Yeah,
in
back in
either
those
of
times,
those eras, especially Butkus. But even Singletary, it was control. It was call the play, know the play, direct everybody, and make the tackle. And they weren't dropping
either of those other two dropping in the coverage. That's just me. Now, if you want to talk about rushing the passer, nobody did that better than Butkus as far as the linebacker position.
Yeah.
You know, you were not blocking
LT.
him. You know,
I mean,
well, I'm talking about for us the Bears.
Yeah, right. In that era, it's the same. It's the same player.
Yeah, Lawrence Taylor was he was from another planet.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and I agree on the Ray Lewis thing. Yeah, that's right.
I would do Butkus, Urlacher, and Singletary. I think it's really close between Butkus and Urlacher.
If you're playing in this day and time, the way they throw the ball,
it has to be Urlacher.
Yeah.
Because Butkus, I mean, they're all from different eras when you think about it. Butkus played in a time when running the ball was the thing to do. And, you know, wide receivers still put their hands on the ground before they took off from the line of scrimmage. I mean, the times were different. I mean, all three played in different eras. Singletary was like right there in the middle before the game changed from running to passing. And now Urlacher was into passing. So back to our cornerback room. Go ahead, Todd.
Look, you know, and they don't, and that's what I grew up with was that team, right? And I know I'm a little older than you guys, but you know, but look, Otis Wilson was a great player, and Wilbur Marshall,
he was another great player.
Amazing player, and they're lined up next to Mike Singletary, and I'm going to say, hey, it's the same thing. You know, you hear Singletary, but and Wilbur Marshall left, so that's part of that too. But he was amazing. That guy was unbelievable. And then you got and that line, I mean. It's McMichael, who's now in the Hall of Fame. Say what you want to about that. But you've got Fridge and you've got McMichael, and he's like right behind them. Those guys are stopping those guys, or at least getting hands on those guys. And it's just, and it's not any of their fault that they played together.
Okay.
No, it's not.
So you brought that up, and I'm glad you did, because this is the point that I want to make. That 85 Bears team has 3 Hall of Famers on it now? With McMichael, with Dent, right?
Yeah, Richard Dent. And Dan Hampton.
Dent, McMichael. Fridge didn't make the Hall of Fame.
No.
So we've got 3 Hall of Fame. So my point is this. When we start talking about, and we hadn't got to this part yet, but it's what I've been screaming about improving the defensive line. Because when you got people who eat up blocks, and you have to deal with keeping them out of the backfield from your quarterback, your linebackers are allowed to do their job, which is the reason why we're talking about Urlacher. It's the reason why we would talk about Wilbur Marshall. It's the reason why we would talk about Singletary. Our linebackers now, we have got to improve our trenches on both sides of the ball. That's an offensive line and a defensive line. Because if you don't do it, then your linemen are getting chewed up. Your linebackers can't do their job. They're not able to stop the run. They're not able to keep the tight end off the line and running up the seam. Because we don't seem to guard tight ends on opposing teams. We let them run free for whatever freaking reason. I don't understand. But that's the reason why I've been screaming about improving. We need a 3 technique in there like nobody's business. I mean, gotta have 2 people you got to worry about keeping off your quarterback. Got to.
Yeah, I mean, look, as our strength is our secondary. It has been for the last 2 years. There should be 15 free sacks a year just on coverage sacks, but we can't get home because we've got one defensive end and we've got an
defensive tackle,
and we always playing zone. I mean, somebody's always open.
Yeah, I mean,
playing zone.
Yeah, we play a very soft vanilla.
I mean,
zone.
to give up a big play and another team scores, that's aggravating. But to watch 20 rushing plays right up the gut that we can't stop, that makes me madder than the big plays happen. But just to give up rushing yard, it's just I don't know.
And I'll guarantee you, if we look this up, the Chicago Bears defense would be one of the worst defense in the league on 3rd and long.
We were.
I guarantee you.
Yeah. 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13, 14,
that
15.
Stuff happened all that. If we
16,
got a team 3rd and
17.
15, they had us right where they wanted us.
Yeah.
Well, we don't defend every play. We pick and choose the ones we want to defend.
Yes, remember Eberflus said that. Those yards don't matter.
Good job, Cowboys.
Yeah. I bet you McCaskey's were happy he got hired because I looked at his contract. They only have to pay the difference. So if the Cowboys are paying him $7 million, we are on the hook for $9 million. We only had to pay him $2 million. So I bet you and same with the other guy, the offensive coordinator we let go.
If it doesn't count against the cap, I don't care what they have to pay.
Yeah,
so
you should pay for your stupidness.
So back to our cornerback room.
Yeah.
We got off track, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So we got Jalen Johnson locked up 4 years, $76 million. We have a potential out after the 25 season. Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith, and Elijah Hicks. I realize Elijah Hicks is a safety, but Spotrac has him classified as a corner. So, guys.
Now, is Blackwell and Speed, are they both restricted?
Yes, they're both free agents. So my main question about the corner,
we have exclusive rights on Speed, and Blackwell's restricted,
Speed,
so we can.
Speed was a Flus guy. I have a feeling he's going to be gone.
Well,
he was an Indianapolis Colt kid.
We have exclusive rights. He can't really do anything, and he has to take a minimum deal. So,
so the cornerback room,
it's solid.
I guess the main question is Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson. We're probably only going to be able to keep one, afford one. Which one would you keep out of those two, Todd, if you had to choose right now?
Well, can't choose right now. I mean, one guy's got to get his head screwed on straight, but we've got Stevenson wrapped up for 2 years on a rookie deal. So
Stevenson expires at 26. Gordon is up after this season.
Yeah. So we've got Stevenson this year, next year. And we don't know what the results are going. We're all projecting into free agency, spending money, but I would pay Kyler Gordon in the top 70% of nickels. I think he's probably better than the top 70%, but his injury history is going to cost him. So if you can, and I don't know, because I've been trying for the last couple hours to separate, corners from straight nickels, from inside corners.
Yeah.
On what they make, and like Jalen, is at the top of the market, but he's a pure cover corner. That's different than what Kyler's going to get. I think you see the number on Spotrac, or I think it's Spotrac at 11. I think that's probably the high end of that. I don't think I don't know, 7.5 in 4 years, 7.5. Even 5 if you want to make it look good and guarantee 50% of that. I'm good with that extension.
So Chicago Clarence, would you extend Kyler Gordon now or wait till the season's over? Or would you not extend him at all and go with Stevenson?
I would pay Kyler Gordon right now. And the reason why I say that is because in the long run, it's going to be beneficial to us if we go ahead and do it. Because let me remind everybody of something. Kyler Gordon has not made the Pro Bowl yet. And that's one thing that seems to be on these teams, on these players' resume when they go into the negotiating table. They talk about how many Pro Bowls they've been selected to. He hasn't been selected to any. So we've got that, on our side. We got his injury history on our side as well. So we can kind of like tone down what he thinks his market value is and offer him what – I mean, I like the numbers Todd just said. I tend to hover around $7-8 million. We're talking about a 4-year deal, probably, somewhere around $32 million and guarantee maybe $20-24 million.
Yeah, and then
that wouldn't hurt us.
you do 8, and then if the Pro Bowl thing saying, "Look, I've been looked over, or I should have been there," then you throw $1 million Pro Bowl,
Yeah,
addition to
yeah.
it.
You
Then
throw
do
them
that,
some
Yeah,
incentives. Yeah, I do
for
that.
sure. Yeah.
It'd be. I mean, listen. Unless you a top tier player in your position, it's hard for somebody to sit there and bring you a guaranteed $25 million, and you don't tell them that you're going to turn it down. That's
Right.
really, really betting on yourself, knowing that you tend to miss games every season.
Yeah.
So I guess both of you would definitely choose to extend Gordon. I guess we're going to have to probably let Stevenson walk.
Not
Yeah,
necessarily.
we got some time on that.
We do, but we can't pay every corner we have.
Well, maybe
so we got to spread the money out.
You have to draft the young guys to
Yes.
replace the old guys.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Stevenson steps up, becomes the number 1 corner, and
we can let Johnson go.
Trade Johnson.
Yeah, we do have an out on Johnson after 25.
I've seen Johnson for Myles Garrett several times on the internet this week, but I don't think that Cleveland's. I think they're looking to rebuild.
Cleveland
I don't think they're looking for a
Cleveland
player.
has not come out and officially said we're trading Myles Garrett.
No, I know.
They have not said that. Myles Garrett wants to be traded, but Cleveland has never ever said we're trading him. We're open for business.
Cleveland is playing poker right now because you got to think about it. You are stuck with Deshaun Watson.
Yes, you are.
His money. I mean, so you are stuck with him. You ain't doing nothing. You got to make a decision what are you going to do at quarterback. And you got this guy here making all of this money. You're not going anywhere unless you can get somebody to come there and play cheap at the quarterback position. And if you want to talk about Kirk Cousins, that dude has made 30, 35 million per year everywhere he's went to. You're going to have to pay that. How could you justify giving him that? And you got Deshaun Watson sitting on the bench making all that money. You're going to have to start cutting your losses to rebuild his team. I'm sorry, Cleveland, but that's just the smart thing to do.
Yeah, Cousins isn't going to get any big money. He might go there, but
man, listen, we used to say that about Sam Bradford. That dude made money until every time he went out.
Bradford was the last first number 1 overall. That was before this, the slotting.
The rookie,
so, when the rookies got all the
and
money.
he was the one that he was the one that people bitched about because he got like 80 million.
Cam came right after that, being the number 1 player right after that, and they had did that. But I mean, I'm just saying, if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I start liquidating this team and starting over. You got
yeah. That's because I got some interest in Garrett, but I think Cleveland. I'm not sure they go quarterback, especially if they can get a reasonable deal on a veteran. I think that next year's quarterback draft is better. This year's is, this Cam, and I know that you like Shedeur a lot, Clarence, but I'm just,
it's not a good class.
It's real iffy. And so I think that Cleveland, if it's Cousins and if just from previous history with the coaches and whatever, if they can get him on a reasonable deal for 1 year, I think they would much rather have our number 1 next year than even 10 this year. I just, I don't see it. So, but, and the teams that really want, and we really can't justify it because we're not there yet, but, they wouldn't take our number 1 next year in a second or whatever, 41 in our 1 next year. They'd rather have Buffalo's, what are they, 29, 30, whatever they're drafting at. They'd rather have that this year. I mean, I don't believe that for a second. But anyway, it would solve a problem. And really his money's pretty reasonable, at least right now. We'd have to extend him, but I think he's 20 million on the cap. I mean, that's what you're talking about.
26, I think.
Was it 26? I didn't think it was that high, but anyway. Sorry.
Look it up, Annie. I think it was around 26.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but.
Now, he'd be a difference maker.
Yeah, he would be.
He would immediately be our best player. I mean,
the last thing I do not want to see is him in a Detroit Lions uniform.
Right. Yeah.
I do not want
Detroit has
Green Bay is supposedly in on it.
Detroit has the cap space to do a Myles Garrett deal.
Yeah.
They have the cap space. They have as much as we do.
Well, the Packers deal Jair Alexander, they'd have the money. I mean, he makes more than that.
Yeah. So moving on, wide receiver room. Keenan Allen, DeAndre Carter, Nasamba Webster, and Colin Johnson, all slated to be free agents. I guess the real question is, Todd, you keep Keenan Allen? He made $20 million last year.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm looking at I'm on PFF now, and they're saying 12.5. So I mean, he is that's pretty. I mean, because free agent wide receivers make way too much money. But no, I don't think I'm even in on that. I think I want to see competent coaching staff.
Yes.
See what they can do with Tyler Scott. I mean, there's no reason not to. I mean, Keenan's a slot. Maybe we draft a slot, 6th round, 7th round, something like that, and see what we can do with that. I mean, look, Amon-Ra St. Brown was a 4th round pick.
Yes,
so,
he was. He's a very good wide receiver.
Right. So, but I think, I keep saying everybody do a late round pick that's on these positions that we don't have to have. But, between Cole and Rome and DJ, there's not a lot of guys. I would definitely keep Colin Johnson. That guy just impresses me all the time, and then he's always hurt. But
yes,
he's super cheap. He's a minimum deal guy. I would definitely keep him. I don't think they're going to keep Carter.
I don't think they will because they signed Maurice Alexander, which is
right.
They've already signed his replacement.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's his money and his playing time.
And Webster wasn't healthy all year.
And we already have Scott. Let's see if this coaching staff can develop and do anything.
You got to remember, Tyler Scott was a healthy scratch last year. A lot.
He was a healthy scratch, but he was he was a 4.4 guy in his in his combine, and we don't. I mean, we've got contested catch guys. Really, probably it'll be a lot of DJ in the slot, I would guess, if we don't bring anybody else on. But I think we have to have one more body. So 6th round pick, wide receiver.
Chicago Clarence, would you keep Keenan Allen?
I love Keenan Allen. He is a exceptional route runner.
Yes.
Caleb loves him.
I can't give him $20 million.
No,
it's going to have to be.
I want to be clear. That's what he made last year. I want to be clear.
Yeah.
That's what he made last year.
I can't give him $20 million. It's going to have to be a team-friendly deal for me to even consider it. Because guys, listen. We have had so many people come out and talk about their time in Chicago on how they would make mistakes and nobody said anything. They wasn't used to that kind of stuff. We just got to have somebody to come in there and just instill discipline and accountability around that team. I have never seen Keenan Allen drop as many passes as he did this year.
Yeah.
It was just an anomaly for him in his career because, you can always count on 2 things for Keenan Allen. He was going to be able to catch balls on 3rd down and he was going to get hurt. It happens, And so DeAndre Carter, I liked what I saw out of him when he got in the game. He made, catches. He was able to get open.
He wasn't a bad returner either.
He wasn't, no. But we've already signed his replacement.
Yes,
I don't know if Rome Odunze is ready to be number two. Hell, I don't even think DJ Moore is a number 1. So you gotta have somebody to come in there and challenge those guys. Listen, I know DJ Moore makes the money. We know he's unequivocally number 1 option. That's not what I'm saying. But we've got to have another alpha in there in the wide receiver room. And the people talk about Hollywood Brown. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. I mean, that guy gets hurt. He gets hurt more.
Yeah, no, exactly. They're just talking from a team speed aspect. But I don't know that. I think that Scott's going to be the closest thing we got to it. Yeah, I mean, look, DJ's clearly our number 1. Is he a number 1? Yeah. Justin Jefferson, he's Jamar Chase. He's not that number 1, but he's a. I mean, it was funny when we first got him, with Justin there, just watching this team for several years now. I mean, it just was glaringly obvious that he was the best player on the field for us. It was just no question. If you watch the team over the last 2 or 3 or 4 years, we hadn't had that level of talent offensively forever.
I mean, I'd say we take a run at Chris Godwin.
He's coming off an injury too, and he's going to be.
Well, T. Higgins, number 1, is going to get a boat.
Yeah,
he's going to get a boat loan.
Yeah, he's going to get paid. We can't touch him.
What's
But nobody else excites me on this list. DeAndre Hopkins, hell no. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm on the other side. I'm on the Nick Westbrook Akine $3 million side of it. I'm just not spending money on a receiver. I just
We can.
I can't see
I
it.
don't think that we're at a point to where we can say we can draft one and put him in that wide receiver room with Odunze and DJ Moore. And I mean, I like the Shepherd kid from Colorado. I like him a lot.
Yeah. There was another kid there, Colorado guy. There was another draft analyst I was listening to the other day that was all about a Colorado receiver who had some speed. Let's see. I'm looking at Godwin, 3-year, $20 million average, 40 guaranteed, coming off an injury. I mean, they're saying, what, 12.5 guaranteed for Keenan on a 2-year deal, which is really a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
12.5. I mean,
you might as well do Keenan then.
I'd do the 12, but I don't know.
But they're talking about needing more speed, which we do, because none of our wide receivers are exceptionally fast. With the exception of Tyler Scott, and you can't have a wide receiver that can't catch a cold, and that's what we got in Tyler Scott. His hands are horrible.
I'd take chances on fast priority, free agents that drop the ball all the time and see if we can teach them to catch. I'd rather do that. I want a coaching staff that can develop players.
Yes,
just starved for that.
Because we do not have that. We've never had a coaching staff that develops players.
No, that's how you end up spending $20 million for a hurt Chris Godwin.
Look what we did to our quarterback last year.
Yeah,
reports coming out that he had. No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that he had to go out there and seek his own.
Yes.
He had to pay to get his own video equipment and be able to break down film. How in God's name do you have that with a offensive-minded, your offensive coordinator, a quarterback's coach? Nobody is going over film with your star rookie quarterback who's the number 1 overall pick, and you telling me he's got to go out there and pay out of his own pocket to break down film?
I mean, I wonder he did as well as he did.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's amazing when you think about Caleb Williams' rookie year. It was pretty damn good at the end of the day. What he dealt with, what he dealt with, the coaching staff, the turnover with the coaching staff is pretty damn good. And not to mention the poor offensive line. He almost set the record for most sacks.
And having to hear about Jaden Daniels every week.
Yeah.
If you're Ryan Poles and this is going on, how do you not lose your damn mind? How do you not lose your damn mind? We watch your Hard Knocks. We saw Matt Eberflus bring him into his office and trying to go over game film and talking to him about what he sees. And then during the season, you don't have nobody. This guy and break down film. He's got to pay out of his own pocket to get something that should be automatically given to him. And he should have it at his leisure.
Did they rate our film room? Did we get a grade on our film room or just our bad food?
Let me look at that. I don't remember a film study being up there.
I don't think we have a film room. There we go.
Treatment of families, food, training room, training staff, no. Strength, team travel, ownership.
That's embarrassing, though.
Yeah.
It's damn sure embarrassing to have that stuff come out about your team.
It is.
And I want to know why the national reporters, is not asking Ryan Poles that shit.
Right.
What happened? Why is your rookie quarterback, the number 1 overall pick, having to go out there and pay to break down his own film?
Well, it didn't get leaked till after that coach was long gone. So, what can you say?
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah,
it is. So, guys, let's head into our final thoughts. Todd, I'll let you kick it off with the final thoughts.
Well, the combine, that's going to be interesting. I watch it. I mean, it's mind numbing, but I watch it every year. But I'm pretty excited about the undefeated Chicago Cubs. Like that.
Yes, I got their stuff on.
Yeah, I should have threw on a Ron Santo jersey.
Yeah, you got on Green Bay colors.
I know, man. I should have changed shirts.
Shameful.
My bad. I was
Shameful.
mowing grass and I just didn't change shirts. But yeah, no, it's getting to the point where it's getting real. What's going to actually happen in free agency? How many of these offensive line spots we're going to be able to fill, and what that's going to dictate what we can do in the draft. And this is my favorite part of the year. Anyway, yeah, that's what I got going on.
So my final thoughts are, as always, thank you for watching us. Please like us, subscribe to us, follow us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. And I'm looking forward to free agency. I want to see if we're actually going to spend big, put our money where our mouths are for once, spend big, fill this team out, get some offensive linemen. Let's come out the gate swinging hard. And let's sign free agents that make sense. So the last 2 years, we just thought, oh man, we're gonna go O-line, D-line, O-line, D-line. We end up going running backs, linebackers, which we did need, but I don't know if they should have been the first thing we signed out the gate. But I'll kick it off to the bad guy, Chicago Clarence. I hear he's really, really pissed off. Like his blood pressure is at the levels it's not supposed to be because the doctors tell him it can't get cranked up there. But Chicago Clarence, what are you pissed off about now?
As I've been traveling around this week and going about my daily routine about trying to earn a living, a couple of things have been happening and that really got my blood boiling. Now, I can bring up the North Carolina decision to extend Hubert Davis and give him
That's
more
what
money.
I thought it would be. That's what I thought it would be.
But that's not even where I'm going to go. This weekend, reports came out about Steve Smith and his extramarital affairs.
Yes.
And, for a guy, his wife cheating on him and he decides to out the other person and call him and then put that stuff on social media. And I know that we live in the age of social media. Privacy and your own personal business just doesn't exist anymore, especially if you're a celebrity. And I just think people tend to have misplaced anger and misplaced aggression. But, I have watched podcasts about the text messages that Steve Smith was engaged in with this married woman and talk about the specifics of some of the things that he was saying, and people got a real kick out of it. Now, Steve Smith was my favorite player in the NFL when he played, and I wasn't even a Carolina Panther fan. But the thing that bothers me most, and I'm not even giving Steve Smith a pass on what he did. That's between him and his wife. But for people to have podcasts and think that this shit is funny, when this man has got 4 kids and a wife who did nothing wrong, and you want to sit there and report this and think that this is a joke for somebody's family to be destroyed, because everybody in this situation has made a contribution to the whole world knowing, except Steve Smith's wife and their 4 kids. Because even the husband that was wronged by his wife, he had a choice. He decided to put it all on social media. He decided to out the wrong that was done to him. And I feel for him, because that kind of stuff happening is, traumatizing. But you didn't have to do all of that. You chose to do it. But Angie Smith didn't. Kids didn't. And I just think sometimes in this world, even in this world of social media, people should have time and take care and think about the stuff that happens when you decide to make decisions on how it affects other people. And that just really bothered me to no end. Everybody's got a damn podcast show this time, and hell, we got one. But damn it, think about people sometime and how your decision and the things that you choose to report in and discuss and talk about affect other people's lives. I mean, those kids ain't got nothing to do with it. Some of them, I'd imagine, are probably still in school or college or whatever. And it's not their fault that their dad decided to make a decision that's going to affect their family for the rest of their lives. But when you got to go on there and you getting on your social media platforms and you talking about it, and you talking about the text message and saying exactly what was said verbatim and getting a kick out of it, not thinking about their people at home that's being affected by this. This shit just bothers me to no end. And that's just my 2 cents. But shame on you, Steve Smith. Shame on you to the lady that in question. Shame on you to the husband that even outed it. Why can't you handle your own business behind closed doors?
Yeah, well,
basic human decency.
Yeah, it's unfortunately we live in a digital age now. I mean, if you think about it, the minute you walk outside, you're probably on camera somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Either inadvertently you're on someone's house camera or stoplight camera or stop sign camera or a building, or we're probably on camera almost our entire lives now.
And it's a shame that your business is not your own. You know what I'm saying?
It's
but
not anymore.
It just downright infuriated me to watch all the podcast shows that I saw and people were talking about it and getting a kick out of it. You know, and like I said, Angie Smith is at home with her 4 kids. She already has to deal with the fallout about it, you know, with Steve and their marriage. But now, you know, she can't go to the grocery store. She can't go to work or wherever she got without people talking about what was said. You know, between it, that's bad enough. But then when you want to go on your platforms and joke about it like it's fucking funny, it bothers me. Really struck a chord with me. I mean, I just can't. People got to do better. If you know better, then do better.
With that, guys, next week we're going to break down the biggest room left. The offensive line and defensive line. I know Todd's been chomping at the bit. Clarence has been chomping at the bit to talk about these 2 rooms because we were talking about them in the pre-show before we came on air today. That's all we were talking about. So next week it'll be the offensive line and defensive line. And then March 12th, free agency starts, and we're going to see what this team is going to do. But until next time,
wait a minute, hold on. How you going to end the show and you don't even wish the bad guy a happy birthday?
It's
on
not
Saturday?
your birthday yet.
What shit is this? I mean, come on. By the time we have our next show, my birthday's going to be past. I mean, well, some friends you guys are. I swear.
It's 4 days, or it's March 1st is Chicago Clarence's birthday. March 1st is his
National
birthday.
holiday, for God's sake. I mean, come on.
Should be.
Yeah, it should be. What is it? The first is on a Saturday this year.
Yeah, it's on
nice.
Saturday.
Mine falls on another work day, of course. So with that, everybody wish Chicago Clarence a happy birthday. Until next time, guys. Bear down.
Bear down.